Guys, welcome to Real Talk. Thank you kindly for joining us. My name is Jerry Miller. It's a pleasure to connect with you guys on this platform. Real Talk is an insider's guide to real estate across Charlottesville, Albemarle County, and Central Virginia. Today's program is going to be gangbusters. We have two fantastic additions to our panel. Chris Henry is the president of Stony Point Design Build. We have Jenny Stoner in the house. She is the commercial leasing agent, brokerage, that's going to help fill Dairy Central and Dairy Market here. And Dairy Market is the development that is coming right on the corner of 10th and Preston. We are so super excited for this development. We're so super excited for this addition to the Charlottesville ecosystem. I think it certainly epitomizes everything that's awesome about our community, and really a lot of local brands going to be kind of the flagship tenants, if you may. This show, of course, is powered by Keith and Yonna Smith and the Yes Team Realtors. The Yes Team Realtors, your choice if you're buying and selling a home across Central Virginia. Why don't we, Judah Wickhauer, you're our director, go to the studio cam, welcome the panel. First we say good morning to everybody. How are you guys doing?
Great,
doing
thanks.
well?
Great.
Yeah.
Doing great.
Keith Smith, you set this panel up. My friend, let's lock and load, baby.
So, as I said before we went live, this is something I've been trying to convince Chris to do for months, and we finally got here. I think the world of him personally. I think he's a rock star, and he has obviously a really rock star sitting to the right of him at this table. But what we do on the show is try to bring some exciting stuff to town, and this project's been exciting, at least to me, forever. And I just can't wait to hear what we guys got coming up, and how you got there, and how the magic that Chris made happen to get us to here. So,
I'm super pumped too. We'll go ladies first, and Jenny, we will start with you. We're so excited to talk business. Before we do, humanize, localize, and personalize our guests. Jenny Stoner, who are you? Introduce yourself to the public.
Hey everyone, I'm Jenny Stoner. You'll have probably seen me around town since I was born and raised here and can't seem to leave. Like Chris, I'm a proud Wahoo UVA graduate. I spent a number of years traveling and was lucky enough to live all over the world, and realized in short order that Charlottesville's home and there's no place like home. So happy to be back and working on such exciting projects.
I know the feeling. 3 Wahoos at this table. Chris, jump in the mix. Who are you? Passions, hobbies, and interests, my friend?
Sure. Thanks, Jerry. Thanks for having us on the show. I'm really excited to be here to talk about Dairy Market. And just a quick synopsis of my background is I came to Charlottesville via UVA, studied urban planning, really fell in love with the art of placemaking and design and real estate development. Worked in various parts of the industry for a few years and was able to make my way back to Charlottesville in 2014 for a project that was getting off the ground on Pantops called Riverside Village. And that's where the name Stony Point Design Build came from. It really was nothing more creative than we needed a name for a business we were starting, and we were on Stony Point Road. In hindsight's 2020, I think it's very apropos because of all the work that we're now doing in Charlottesville and the various projects we have around town and in Central Virginia. And in 2014, founded Stony Point Design Build with a local investor, and we've been working on real estate projects here in Charlottesville, Richmond, Gordonsville, and up on Cape Cod since then.
2 planning commissioners watching the program right now. You have 2 city councilors watching to the program. Bellamy Brown, thank you kindly for watching this program. John Kerber, the president and founder of Dominion Custom Homes, watching right now. Keith Smith, my friend, jump in the mix.
So I'm just thinking I'm the odd man out. I'm not the Wahoo here at the table. So
That's okay. We still like you.
Well,
Really? But yeah, so tell us about the genesis, Chris. You know, how did this idea come into your head to generate this awesome product? And then tell us, like, at a high level, you know, what was your vision, what was your goal? And then at some point, and we'll unpack it a little bit later, as we all know, you know, I'm a recovering developer and builder, and the things that you accomplished at the city level is huge. And just a little bit how you made that magic happen.
Especially in the city of Charlottesville.
It's a wonderful place to live and work, and it's the reason why we invest our dollars here in real estate. But this project, I think, started like any of the projects that we do. It's really because of the locations that we like to build in, walkable, urban, mixed use, connected to urban infrastructure, existing infrastructure. It's about creating great places and enhancing lives through the built environment. And so I like to find great sites and then let them, in some ways, tell us what they want to be. So this was a prime corner site on 10th and Grady and Preston at the confluence of those three major thoroughfares in the city, and it had a historic 37,000 square foot building on it that was a dairy processing facility for about 100 years. And that was really the head scratcher. Was, we had a lot of land there, and you can build a lot of new construction when you have a site that's big enough, but what were we going to do with this old building to really pay homage to the history of it, to revive it, to rehabilitate it from the state that it was in when we made the purchase, which was not great. And I've got to give credit where it's due, but John Pritzloff with the Thalhimer crew put a bug in my ear and said, you ought to think about doing a food hall, sent me some marketing studies from Cushman, Wakefield National that showed how the financials could work out. And then we really went on a international tour and looked at a bunch of different projects like this around the globe, and I saw the value of doing it. I saw how it could work for this building. I couldn't think of any other use that would be as appropriate for this space, and so we found a team of consultants that we brought on board that helped me bring the dream to reality.
Let me throw this to Jenny. Jenny, you have Charlottesville woven into the fabric of your soul. You know this market better than anyone. You're also in the game from a real estate standpoint, commercial standpoint. What do you love about Dairy Market?
Oh my gosh, well, obviously in real estate you work on many, many projects and each of them is unique, but I think that this is one of the most exciting projects to probably ever happen in Charlottesville. Chris's vision and attention to detail and just the Stony Point approach to creating this place has been really special. It's something to work with, and it's a really unique opportunity for Charlottesville to bring together the best of what's local in a historic setting that really, I think, captures what Charlottesville is.
Well said. Keith?
So I've known Chris how many years? 5 years? 6 years?
Since the beginning.
Yeah.
Keith was one of our first agents working on selling homes over on Pantops on Stony Point Road.
Thank you. So one of the things I've always enjoyed about working with you is what you just said a little earlier. You pay respect to what came before, right? And can you tell us just like at a high level, what is a food hall, right? So, some of those who'll be watching that doesn't, know what one is, just give us a vision at a high level.
Sure. I think at a really high level, a market hall or a food hall is a collection of small vendors, artisans, food makers, and other craftsmen in a community that are under one roof. It's very different from a food court in a shopping mall, which is very corporate, which is very programmed and kind of sanitized. What a food hall tries to bring to the table is adaptively reusing historic, authentic places and creating vibrant community gathering places that will last for 50, 100 years. I mean, some of the halls that we visited in Europe have been there since the 1800s. It's incredible the kind of community relevance that these places can take on over time, and that's really what we're hoping to create here for Charlottesville.
Chris Jensen, welcome to the program, Real Estate 3. Aaron King from Feast, thank you for joining us. Marina Ringstrom, hello. Give it a like, give it a share on any of the streams that you're watching. It is an epicenter of local. I think it's kind of like a development that's going to spotlight the essence of the community and everything that's great about Charlottesville. I love local. I mean, as a small business owner myself, I know how hard it is, and I love what you guys are doing. I'm so excited for I think Tom Bowe from Take It Away Sandwich Shop, he's going to be one of your tenants. Mm-hmm. He called it food stalls. Mm-hmm. Give us the nitty-gritty there with the restaurants. Is it 18 to 20 that are coming there from a restaurant standpoint?
It depends on how things shake out, but we can...
So a little pressure on you on how things shake out is what he's saying right there.
No, and what I mean by that is the space is designed to be flexible.
Okay, cool.
And it will adapt over time, and it can adapt to different users that are coming into the space. We have 18 stalls, individual stalls that can accommodate an individual restaurant use, so that could be 18 individual kitchens in this space. It's not actually going to shape up that way, but we've got all of the infrastructure in place to allow that to happen. As we've gotten into the leasing, some people want to take two stalls, they want to combine stalls, they want to split stalls. Some people aren't selling food, so we don't need all the infrastructure in place. But as those uses change and the people come and go over that hopefully 100+ year period for the market, it will take on many different uses over time. But yeah, it's designed to hold 18 stalls between 300 and 600 square feet. All of them can hold all of them but two can hold a full service kitchen.
Awesome.
So I was trying to articulate what what this looks like, because as everybody knows, my wife is in Europe, is Austrian, and these are all over Europe. And is there co-sharing kitchens? Is that how that's working, or each space has its own kitchen?
It can be either way. Each space can have its own kitchen. We have some vendors that are now talking about doing 2 different concepts off of one kitchen and kind of sharing the back of house, which we think is a great idea.
Erin King, she works for Feast. I'm going to throw this to both of you guys. She throws this question out there. How will this be different than the Main Street Market? It's a good question.
Great question. The Main Street Market, in a lot of ways, is the predecessor to Dairy Market. It's an early version of an American food hall. The Purple Building,
the Purple Building.
It's a great collection of uses under one roof. I go to Feast and Orzo and the baking company and the seafood company all the time. It's just a different iteration of the same thing. We think that the market's big enough to be able to handle both, and I think they're complementary, and they and we'll have a different selection of vendors to choose from in a different location.
But it includes the live-work component, which I think is considerably different than where Feast is. Is that
sure? Yeah, I mean, Dairy Market is one component of the Dairy Central project. The other components are a 50,000 square foot Class A office building that is under construction right now. That'll be delivering at the same time as the market. It's connected to the market. There's a 7,000 square foot event space in the lower level of the market. And then next door is a 180 unit ground up multifamily building, podium style with parking under the building, a very urban product. And that's going to break ground in about 45 days. So it's really, Dairy Market is a piece of a much larger mixed use infill development, which makes it different than Main Street Market.
Jenny, get you in the mix here. The 10th and Page, Preston Quarter, the heart of the city in a lot of ways. I'm a huge proponent of downtown. I clearly see, we all do, what's happening with UVA and Charlottesville just kind of migrating into this big area. I think when we were talking about this off air, when we were students at UVA, we didn't cross, was it 14th Street? We didn't go past 14th Street for fear of concern. That is not the case anymore. I would not go past Orbit. Now we see UVA students, whether it's on the trolley, whether it's a Lime or a Bird, whether it's an Uber, coming downtown, coming to Midtown, coming to Preston. How about just the evolution of the city as we've seen it firsthand?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting thing to have watched over my lifetime. Obviously, it's exciting to see UVA integrating more closely with the community. For many years, it had sort of been 2 separate hubs, the downtown area and the UVA area. I think projects like Dairy Central and everything that's happened on West Main have really worked to connect the city. Obviously, transportation has gotten better. You mentioned Limes and Birds, Uber, their food delivery services, and it's just easier for people to get around. And I think, as Chris would say, if you look at Dairy Central kind of on a map, if you threw a dart at the center of Charlottesville, you're really looking at it. You're about half a mile downtown, half a mile to UVA, and I think it's going to be another great project in connecting what has kind of historically been 2 halves of the city.
Well said. I think I got to give you some props because I think folks that have vision and courage and the gumption to take a risk like you are doing things that are so impactful for the city, because you are taking this. I remember when it was Sharky's. Remember when it was Sharky's? When
Yes.
that was the predecessor to
wow.
McGrady's.
Wow.
I was closing that bar down, okay? I remember it was McGrady's. And then there was that fabulous Mexican grocery store that was there. And then it evolved into 3-notched. JR's Cho's.
Yep.
It's had a lot of different iterations there. You were
Harvest
just
Moon.
Yeah, Harvest Moon. I mean, it's you took this spot that was kind of for lack of a better phrase, hodgepodge and underutilized, and you're making it something epic. It's awesome.
Thanks. I couldn't agree more, and I think that part of what makes it great, it's the location in Charlottesville, and we're trying to be as thoughtful as we can about how we can maximize that location. It boils down to things like creating a 7,000 square foot public plaza in front of the building in the old, what was a slip lane for parking. We're taking that back over and giving it to public space. It'll be programmed. There'll be activity there, nights and weekends. We're rebuilding all of the sidewalks around the site. We're undergrounding all of the utilities. We're beautifying this corner of Charlottesville. We're creating community components with an event space that'll be open for the neighborhood association to use once a month. Just trying to build as many bridges and create as much of that sense of place as we can for the long haul.
Your boy Jay Pun is watching right now. The guy's behind Chim Street. What's up, Jay Pun?
All right, hey,
Love
Jay.
your Thai food, Jay.
So I've been doing this for a long time, since 1987, and Chris totally gets it. He knows what the right moves to make. But as I was listening to all this conversation, I was here in 1987 when I went to Tracks, to which you probably, if anybody remember
Of course
Tracks,
I know
Oh,
Tracks.
yeah, of
right?
course.
Yeah.
When
course.
Dave Matthews was on the stage,
Yeah.
so I'm going a little further back on that. So, but the migration and I would define what Chris is doing over there is intelligent development. You're really well thought out. Frankly, and I know this, you don't spare any penny. You do what's right. But so just again to go back to this food hall concept, I just came from Seattle. Big thing out in Seattle, Pike's Place, that kind of thing. Is that a fair vision of what this might look like?
It's one of them. I think that's a much more urban product than what we've got here in Charlottesville. I think I was reading the other day there's 4,800 people per square mile in Charlottesville. I bet Seattle is double or triple or maybe greater than that. And so it's a little bit of a different product, but similar mix of vendors. The spaces that we thought really rose to the top of the comparable projects that we visited were Krog Street Market in Atlanta. It's in a single-family neighborhood south of town.
Okay, cool.
That's kind of
a good spot.
got some old industrial sites. And we actually brought on the developer of that as a consultant for Dairy Market.
Nice.
And Oxbow Market in
So that goes
Napa.
back to you're doing the right thing, spending the money, bringing in the consultants, so the deliverable
Yep.
is knocking everybody's socks off.
Yeah, and actually, one of the lead developers for Pace's property, which put Krog Street Market in the ground, is a UVA grad. And he's since gone on and started his own consulting company for experiential retail. And we contracted with him to help us put Dairy Market together, and it's been a great experience so far.
Bellamy Brown watching right now. Elizabeth Cox Cromwell, president of the Chamber of Commerce, watching. Corbett Snow, CEO of Snow's Garden Center. Ray Cadell, you have 7 different real estate firms watching right now. Quentin Beckham says, I'm very excited to see this all come together. We have a question on the timeline. You've touched on this briefly. I'm so excited. This is from Lauren. I'm so excited to see this open. I think this is going to be a great addition to Charlottesville. Any indication of the timeline of when we can start spending our money at your food hall? That's a great question.
Get ready, Lauren.
You'll see the banner go up on site next week. It's spring 2020 is the timeline. The
Nice.
core and shell of the market and the office are going to be delivered to me by the end of December. That's when we'll be getting tenants in to start their work, their upfit, and all the other things that have to go in to get this market opening. And so, a few months after that is when we'll be able to open the doors.
So let's give some shout out to your founding merchants.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So,
How about Jenny handle that one there?
Take it
Yeah.
away.
Well, we're obviously really excited. We've got a great initial lineup of announcements for our founding merchants. I'm sure, as everyone knows by now, we've got Star Hill Brewery coming home back to CVille, so that's a very exciting addition. I think they are the perfect
Totally.
anchor tenant for that corner, and we're excited to have them back in town. We've got a couple of other local folks. You already discussed Tom Bowe with Take It Away. We're obviously incredibly excited to have Tom after almost 30 years on the corner, branching out a little bit and
Yeah.
giving those of us a little bit
That
further
house
from
sauce,
UVA
baby.
a chance to
More
get
house
some
sauce.
house sauce. Angelique's Kitchen, obviously, we're all familiar with Angelique's incredible food truck. We're excited to see her in her first brick and mortar location at Dairy Central. Chim, as you know, Jay Pun, I think
He's watching.
so, he's on air now. So
Hey,
Jay and family, Pong and Pim, will be sort of founding Chim Street here. It'll be a little bit more of a street food take. For anyone who's been to Thailand, food stalls are very, very common. So they're pretty excited to bring a little bit of Thai street food to Charlottesville. And then kind of a newcomer to the game, we're excited.
Well, that's what I was looking for. I
We're
was looking for
excited
some
to-
new stuff.
to talk a little bit about Aleva Coffee. As Chris said earlier, we're excited to bring everything that's local, and I think part of what makes Charlottesville unique is that we're constantly seeing these great new concepts pop up. And when we encountered Eleva, we really thought this is something pretty special, out of Brooklyn, New York originally. But they have got just a really great vision and model. It's kind of a farm to cup, single source
Nice.
group. And Emilio with Eleva is originally from Nicaragua and has worked pretty extensively in the communities in which they source their coffee from to make sure that they're doing things the right way. And we're excited to welcome them to Charlottesville.
So where are they from in Brooklyn? Because I'm a Bay Ridge guy, so
Now you're asking her the tough questions.
come on, that's important.
It is pretty important. They're actually, they'll be opening their third location
Nice.
this year in the city. And they actually have originally family ties to Charlottesville. So,
Well, off air, you'll tell me where they're at.
Jessica Norby, your girl's giving you some props right now.
Hey,
She says,
Jess.
love you, Jenny. Woo! Give it a like and a share. Michael Guthrie, hello.
So you've got 250,000 people going to watch this over the course of a month. Quite a few people watching it now. Other than
Hello, Lisa Green.
Hey, Lisa.
Hi, Lisa.
Any other announcements that you might want to share other than the coffee? Is that pretty much all you got cooking at the moment?
So
I think
there-
he keeps trying to break some news right here. Is what he's doing.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Well, the news we're breaking is the founding merchants, the five
Sure.
founding merchants of the market that are coming in
Cool.
that are really at the point where we're releasing that information. The other stalls the activity has been very strong. We're doing multiple tours a day at this point. There's a stack of paperwork on my desk that we try to get through to come to terms with the different groups that want to come in, and it's a lot of shuffling. People. There's a lot of options for how to put the businesses together within the stalls, which stalls you want to take, can you combine stalls? So we work through all of that, and at this point, we're 28% leased in the market. We've got another 24% that we're working through the LOI process, so over 50% spoken for in the
That's
market.
huge, man. That is
And on the
huge.
office space, we're about 77% spoken for at this point. So there will be many more announcements coming out of through the end of the year. It just the process takes a little while to move through.
I know that for
And
sure.
it's one of the reasons we're here in August instead of we started talking in June. Let's do a founding merchant.
I mean,
merchants
I
announcement,
haunted
but-
this poor guy.
It's good.
Unfortunately, he gave me his cell phone number, so you've got my 5:30 in the morning.
I get texts from him at 5:30 in the morning. Prepare yourself.
Me too.
Prepare yourself.
He's been there and done that.
I had to put a no texting before 7:30 in the morning rule into effect with Keith. You're getting some props over here, Stoner. You're getting some props here from our buddy Bo Stockton. Jenny Stoner is a baller and a
Hey,
shot
Bo.
caller. Solid interview score there,
right.
Jerry. Bo is actually the new owner of Michael's Bistro on the UVA corner. I met Bo in 2001 at Ruby Tuesdays. Love some Bo Stockton. Michael Walker has given you some props as well. What I love about your vision and your strategy here is we all understand, especially in a market like Charlottesville, the value proposition of having fantastic restaurants and the value proposition of having a flagship, like a tap room, like Star Hill. It's going to create buzz and a sticky factor with people wanting to stay and hang out there. And that's then going to create momentum for the commercial and the residential piece. Throw that concept to you.
Absolutely. It's we worked hard to get to Star Hill coming in as an anchor tenant. I think that it checked a lot of boxes for us. It checked a lot of boxes for them too, coming essentially back to a neighborhood where they were founded and reestablishing their presence in Charlottesville, where it all began for Star Hill, and being able to do cross branding, cross promotion with their humongous platform
huge.
out there.
Yeah.
Bringing more traffic to the market. On top of that, they're just serving beer. So it's not, they're not in direct competition with all of the other small vendors that are in there serving food, serving other items. So Star Hill is going to be very, I think, welcoming towards the spirit of the market, allowing folks to bring food from the different vendors into their beer hall, and vice versa. So that was huge for us, and we're also trying to get. We would really love to have a mix of 60% or so local vendors, and then also bring in some out of town folks to give it some
Fresh.
that excitement, and
Novelty.
something for people to come back and visit. And a reason to actually show up there. This isn't just a group of satellite locations for existing businesses in Charlottesville. Even the ones that are existing, like Chim, for example, is doing a completely different concept. Angelie's Kitchen has never had a physical location in Charlottesville. They are running out of a food truck right now and killing it. But that's really
That's a big
everyone
step.
so far is playing by the spirit of the market, and we're really excited by that.
So I just received a text from a mutual friend, and the question was asked, talk a little bit about parking.
Sure. The
Charlottesville, Virginia.
You want to take that one, Jenny?
Or
hard question for Jenny Stoner.
or maybe I
The real
will go
heart
back
and
to
soul of
softball question.
Charlottesville is a parking
Oh
problem.
man, that's so true. We just literally got that question on the street. Will there be parking?
Everyone
Mike-
will be
let me
pleased
see.
to know that yes,
Look
there will
right
be
there.
parking.
It's not the person who texted you.
I think-
What do you got for that one?
I think we actually have a very competitive parking situation in the Charlottesville downtown market. Parking in the urban ring of Charlottesville is tough, as anybody that lives or shops here knows. We have we have a deck underneath the office building that will park a significant portion of those employees. We have a surface lot that's over 1 acre, 1.5 acres of land that we're dedicating to surface parking next door to the market. There's 150 spaces or so in that lot, and then we have some additional overflow parking that we've procured around the site if we need it. So we have some flexibility to flex as demand.
So I asked that question very specifically because I was able to look at your site plan over the course of time because it's public record, and you addressed that issue, in my opinion, head on and spot on. You know, if people are going to come and go, they got to be able to park for a couple hours. Of course, everybody wants to use public transport, or I'm sure you're going to have some bike docks where I can dock my bike. And when I was out in Seattle, is my wife watching?
She is watching.
Okay.
Hello,
then
Yonna.
Then I won't say this then. But I was at the Rad electric bike store out in Seattle, and I might get myself into trouble, but I think I'm ordering one. So
Nice.
I need a place to.
So I mean, part of being in an urban location is you have the potential for folks not to have to drive and park their car. They can walk from any of the locations that we mentioned earlier, UVA, downtown, West Main Street. We have plenty of bike parking on site. The city and their planning department is very focused on getting bike infrastructure in town, which we think is a great thing to require developers to think about. We've actually just the other day, we're working with our landscape architect, Water Street Studio, to figure out where a scooter's going to park. This is something that really came about after we had started the site plan process for this project. We've been working on this for a couple of years, and I think Lime showed up a year ago. We're also on a transit line, so there's a bus stop next to the building, so employees and shoppers can get here without even needing to drive. We think it's an amazing opportunity to minimize vehicle miles traveled and promote more walkability in the city.
So we're both runners, and the distance from Dairy Central or Dairy Market to the downtown mall is quarter mile?
Half a mile, quarter mile, depending
Depending
on
which end of the
which
mall.
end of the mall.
Which
Yep.
end of the mall, because that's a quarter mile in
Yep.
itself.
We
So
think it's walkable.
Totally
without a
walkable.
doubt, it's walkable.
Yeah, you can walk from the corner to downtown, no problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There is a psychological barrier. Preston Avenue hasn't been seen as a walkable corridor
It's a
in the
sidewalk
past.
situation.
Sidewalks aren't
Yeah.
aren't in great shape. It's a 4-lane,
Just go
pretty
down West
fast
Main.
but yeah,
And then cop over.
that's right.
Yeah.
I would disagree with you. I think if you just follow the lights and the little white man versus the red hand and just follow, it's an easy cross at that point.
I think it's a psychological barrier.
Yeah,
that
there
people
you
just
go.
haven't.
Okay, got it.
There hasn't been any locations worth walking to on Preston Avenue
That is
for
true.
quite a while. Cardinal Hall and the Coke Building have been changing that.
Sure.
But we think this will add another feather in the cap for Preston Avenue. I'm certainly not afraid to walk that. I jog that corridor every day. And we've put together a concept plan for the planning department at the city to suggest that a greenway could be installed in the median of Preston Avenue without having to do any right-of-way modification.
That's smart.
Just adding some new crosswalks, get people in there, and allow that nice green median to become a public park.
So this is why I was so excited about having you here, is because you think outside the box. You know, we all come from the business world, right? So if you see a problem, you present solutions. And hey, there's a challenge here. Here's 2 solutions. So my hat, if I was wearing one, my hat's off to you. And my sister who cuts my hair with the Hairsmith would not like me to put a hat on. We haven't
One of the
talked-
sponsors of the program,
There you go.
Hairsmith and Company on
We haven't
Market
talked
Street.
about-
We also give Mike Beatrick some love at First Heritage Mortgage. If you need a mortgage, think about First Heritage. I'll throw this to Jenny. We had Robbie O'Kane and Duke Fox. Duke Fox, VP at Star Hill. Robbie O'Kane, Brewmaster at Star Hill. On this program, talking about their incredible excitement of this project. How about the nitty-gritty? I like the business side of attracting a tenant like Star Hill to a project like this to build buzz and momentum. How does that happen?
A lot of time spent on the phone.
Yeah.
No, I think when we really got into the leasing and thought about who would be perfect fits for Dairy Central, Star Hill obviously rose to the top of the list. I think not only are they a great local brand, but as Chris and I both mentioned, as we all know, we're just a stone's throw away from where it all began for Star Hill. So, Duke and Josh and Robbie were wonderful to work throughout the process. There's obviously a lot of back and forth and planning that goes in, and a lot of care put in on both sides, and design work and leasing edits, and all kind of the boring guts of it that lead to a really exciting announcement. So we're thrilled to have Star Hill, obviously, and I think people in Charlottesville will be excited to have an outpost to enjoy their beer.
I remember climbing the stairs of their first location on West Main to
Main.
listen to some music, and like watching as that floor was like wobbling, because obviously there were too many people in there, and like fighting for a beer. I think Star Hill, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's either South Street or Star Hill as the first brewery to open in the city of Charlottesville, and I think whoever was first, the other one opened within months of the other one.
Yep.
So getting someone like Star Hill to come to your project, Chris, dude, it's so like impressive. And just from like a branding, this is an advertising agency, just from a branding standpoint, they got like 40 some followers, 40,000 some on Facebook, 30,000 plus on IG.
Yep.
A timeless brand, almost like a legacy brand now that's tied to music, and it's turned into like almost like a lifestyle brand as it is as much a craft beer brand.
For sure.
So like creating this lifestyle brand that they've done is perfect for your lifestyle type center.
Absolutely. We from the early days, we knew we wanted to have an anchor brewery in this project, and so we started discussions with Star Hill almost from the beginning of planning Dairy Market, and they always expressed interest, and thankfully we were able to make a deal happen. But I think that honestly, Star Hill has got to be one of the strongest brands ever to come out of Charlottesville.
Totally.
Red Light Management is in another category, but they're not necessarily a household name for people that live.
No,
out
they're
of
behind the
state,
scenes.
But we have, our architects are in DC, and they were telling me the other day they didn't really know the Star Hill brand, but since we brought them into the market, they're seeing Star Hill beer all over DC, and they're telling their friends about it, and their friends know about it. So this is one of those brands that has come out of Charlottesville that has a lot of staying power and that has a wide reach, and we think that can only be a positive benefit to the market.
So Jenny, we're real estate agents. We've got a bunch watching.
Greg Slater, hello. Christopher Eagle, hello. Kate Lucas, hello. 3, to name a few. You have 7 real estate firms still watching this program right now. 2 planning commissioners, 2 city councilors, the city attorney. A lot of folks on this program have influence.
So what can we do to make his stack bigger? You've got 50% left at the dairy market. What can we do? What can all these folks do to help you make Chris's job a little bit more tougher?
Or easier, hopefully.
The stacks are now piling up of papers. Obviously, anyone can feel free to reach out to me. My contact info is on the Dairy Market website, and easily reached by email or phone. But if you are interested in learning more, myself or Johnny Pritzloff or Chris or anyone on the Stony Point team is happy to sit down and discuss. As Chris said, we're touring multiple times a day at this point, just getting people through there. The majority of the concrete's poured. It's really coming together. It looks great inside. You can check it out on the Dairy Market Instagram and Facebook, and follow the progress there.
Give it a like, give it a share. Right,
There you
Jerry?
go. Who's running those social accounts? They're doing a good job.
Yeah, we have, it's a partnership. We have in-house marketing
work.
with Jody Mills, and then we have some partners that we work with. But also I do have one thing I can announce today is we have dairymarketcville.com went
Nice.
live yesterday with a massive overhaul.
I'm going there right
featuring
now.
all of the founding merchants, featuring the floor plans of the market where the merchants are going to be located, featuring a lot more information about the event space and the other fun stuff that's happening on site. So
Nice.
go there,
I
visit
think
the
this is a
social media.
WordPress website, isn't it? Looking at the back-end code, it's mobile responsive. Very nicely done over there, Chris.
So,
This-
so go
this
to
is what I was looking
dairymarketcville.com and follow all the
It is a
fun
WordPress
updates.
website, and this is because I'm looking at your code right now. Keith, jump in here, baby.
Terrifying.
Yeah,
That's what I do.
I just want to try to get his work a little bit more up so we can go ahead and get some stuff going in there, a new product in there. So I want to take a tour, right? I'm a real estate agent or somebody that wants to take a tour. What do? I log on the website, we reach out to you. How does that process work?
I'm your girl.
Give her a ring.
Make sure you don't forget long pants and closed-toed shoes. But outside of that, we'll work on setting up some time.
I don't know. I've walked job sites with you with 6-inch high heels on stones. So
I wear rainbows 365, just to let you know.
We've got to keep things OSHA approved. So we do have a dress code now that we issue for people coming to tour the site. But everything starts at the website. The contact information is there. If people are interested even in taking a tour just for their own edification or for part of a business opportunity. We toured Elizabeth Cromwell and Allison Dickey recently.
Oh, good.
I went and gave a presentation to the Rotary Club. I mean, we were really trying to get the word out to any of the great business organizations that are here in Charlottesville, and we welcome opportunities to give tours.
There's no announcement or platform that's going to give you more exposure, tooting my own horn here, than this right here, Chris. Just giving you some nitty gritty. Throw this to you.
I was going to take that a different direction. I was going to say you're always welcome on the show. We reach out to a bunch of folks. 250,000 folks watch this, and hopefully you will come back on a regular basis.
I certainly hope so. Stephanie Rhodes from Interstate Pest and Service Companies, hello. Fletcher Stevens, hello. Your boy Dan Pennant watching the program right now. Throw this question to you. Being the president of a business and an entrepreneur and a visionary, I mean, ups and downs, right? Peaks and valleys, right? I always throw this question to everybody that comes on the show. How do you manage the vulnerability piece? That fear that comes with doing a project of this magnitude?
Sure. The excitement, I mean, for me, having the opportunity to transform such a large and marquee site in Charlottesville is just exciting. So I get up every day and I'm really happy to go to work. But I did recently read a quote from Churchill that stuck with me for quite a while, and he said, "Success is never final, failure is never fatal. It's the courage to continue that matters." And so we have a lot of ups where we are signing, 5 founding merchants on to come into the market. We have downs where people call and they say they don't want to come for whatever reason or it's not going to work out. And to me, that's just all part of that roller coaster of getting the project done, but it's really staying focused on the end goal, opening this market, crossing all of the different milestones that we need to get there, and just keeping an eye on the big picture.
I love it. Sasha Farmer, welcome to the show. Greg Slater, Nest Realty, welcome to the program. Throw this to you, Jenny. When this is finished and this entire project is completed, what do you think its impact on the community is going to be? I mean, it's really going to be, I feel like, this fabulous connector between the corner and downtown, much like Midtown and West Main has become. It's just on a different side, parallel almost to West Main. How do you see it impacting the community?
I think it'll obviously have that impact, and then a much wider impact in terms of being a main tourism hub for Charlottesville. Obviously, it's a great gathering place. I think the whole team has worked really hard to put together, as Chris said, we've got this enormous common area patio, a lot of gathering spaces inside, parking for guests visiting. We're working really hard to make it a place that the entire Charlottesville community can gather, but also that folks visiting Charlottesville, we expect that this will join the ranks of must-see. We hope that folks visit Monticello and come grab a beer and some food afterwards. And I think it's just a really great opportunity to showcase the best of Charlottesville.
I love it. I love that.
We want Dairy Market to be an everyday gathering spot for local Charlottesvillians, but also the spot that anybody that comes through town has to go and visit. And we're committed to getting on any of those lists. People, visit Charlottesville, 10 things to do. Dairy Market needs to be on there. We will be doing heavy outreach to UVA alumni, as Dairy Market's the spot to come before a game, just like McGrady's Irish Pub used to do kegs and eggs, maybe even a shuttle up to the stadium or things like that. So. Bringing Take It Away into the market, I think, is emblematic of that effort. So.
It's brilliant because people they fall in love with brands while impressionable as UVA students, and when they come back to the market to celebrate reunions or go to a football game or just like reminisce in the best 4 years of their life, they want to be touched by the brands they fell in love with as 18 to 22-year-olds.
That's right.
So I think those folks are going to then patronize your development, because they're going to be like, oh, maybe I can't park on the corner.
That's right.
Or maybe it's a cluster.
Yep.
But with you, it's not.
But we can get a Star Hill beer and a Take It Away sandwich. I mean, we have
almost
all of my friends that come back to visit from my UVA days want a Bodo sandwich and a Take It Away sandwich before they leave.
So, Bodo's. I actually have to bring bagels back to Brooklyn and New York when I go, because they love these bagels better than, and that's almost like a heresy.
Sacrilege.
That's heresy.
Yeah. Very sticky.
Yeah. So I want to go back real quick just to kind of wrap a little bit. I'm a huge Theodore Roosevelt fan. I do all the quotes. When you get an opportunity, Google the man in the arena, and it basically talks about it's the person who just gets up every day and keeps on doing it. You get knocked down, you get up and you do it. And I know Chris well enough to know that this will not be an issue. He'll get knocked down, he'll get up and keep on doing it again. And that's what really success is defined in my opinion.
Okay.
Thank you, Keith.
Absolutely. A couple more questions, and then we have a little gauntlet of 5 questions for you guys.
That you don't know
Keep 'em
about, so
coming.
get a little nervous.
I think that
Shaking
you
in my
guys
boots.
will handle it extremely well.
As Greg Slater said, I got this evil scientist look going on about right now.
I think you guys are going to be totally fine. How about the 10th and Page neighborhood? And you guys really I feel like you're creating more housing options in a market that is housing short. And I'm super pumped for that. I think having more supply when demand is this high is good for the entire community. That concept to you, anywhere you want to go.
We're thrilled to be a part of the 10th and Page neighborhood, and I've learned a lot about that community since I started this project. And it's an amazing neighborhood that we've built some bridges into, and we've met some amazing people, and we hope that they feel welcome in this project. I think that there's a lot of positive impacts that development can have in neighborhoods. It's creating tax revenues, creating jobs. We're building affordable housing on site. We're creating community space. So, it's a complex issue, but we've made a lot of friends, and there's some great organizations working in the 10th and Page neighborhood that we hope to build lasting, long-term, valuable relationships with, and be able to impact in a positive way through this project.
You handle that question well, Chris. Very well. You get another question on the feed here from Harry Tyson. This sounds like a phenomenal project, but will it be kid-friendly? Can we bring our baby when it opens?
Absolutely.
And you're a young
Yeah.
father, right?
I have a
Absolutely.
2-year-old
Yeah.
daughter and a son on the way in October.
Another release of information. Good for you.
My wife reminds me every day, that this needs to be a kid-friendly place, and my life has shifted dramatically over the past 2 years to be focused on the places in Charlottesville that are kid-friendly, because that's where I can kill 2 birds with 1 stone, so to speak. So, yeah, I don't have any special features to announce today that make it family-friendly. I will say that the rules and regulations will be extremely family-friendly. Star Hill is a family-friendly business, and we have approached and reached out specifically to some family and kid-oriented businesses to try and bring them into the market, and we're hopeful that we can announce some of that soon.
Nice. Keith?
Like I said, he's a rock star.
Yes. Southern Development. Frank and his
There you
team
go.
are watching right now. What's up, Mike Condor? I think we are 55 minutes into the program here. You guys have crushed it. Let's get to these questions.
Flip that paperwork in front of you over.
Ready for the gauntlet?
We don't want to look at. So it's a new part of the program we started last week. We're going to basically ask everybody the same 5 questions. It's a lot of fun. Just see what kind of responses you get. Just kind of talk a little bit about who you are and all that great stuff. I'm going to start with the pretty young lady to your right. Okay, you ready?
Go on
So,
then.
what is the best piece of advice you ever received? Off the top of your head, real quick.
Oh, wow. I'm probably going to have to shout out to my grandmother on this one.
Live. Nice. Grams.
Well done.
She came through with a lot of them, but she always used to say nothing replaces hard work, and nothing does replace hard work. I think this project is a good example of that, and I think the whole team gets up every day and and works hard. So, thanks, Nana Stoner.
There you go. Nana Stoner can name drop on the show today. What do you got, Chris?
At least I didn't give out the address.
Yeah, that's what he did. He did last week, because he gave out his home address here on this program.
Yonna told
I'm
me
sure
this.
that was well received.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, Chris, best advice ever
I
received.
I wish that this person had been around to give me this advice, but I'm going to go back to that quote by Churchill. I think it's emblematic of how to get things done in the real estate industry. Projects take a long time. They take a lot of effort, and you've got to be able to roll with the success and get up after any failure and keep going and just keep your eye on the finish line.
So we don't have any FCC rules here, so we can use colorful language. So along those lines, my grandmother, who was Irish, literally as an immigrant, used to tell me, "Keithy, me boy, if you throw enough shit against the wall, it'll stick sooner or later." So you just keep on going. How about you? What's your best? I didn't ask you that last week.
Your insecurities are the jail of your emotions. That's the best piece of advice I ever got.
I love you, man.
That basically means your insecurities are going to keep you from doing things. And as an entrepreneur, you have to get over the fear of failure constantly. And we've done that. 11 years of success, own most of this building, kicking ass, taking names, and having a good time doing it.
It's amazing how
Definitely.
fear can ruin somebody's life.
Oh, undoubtedly. What's question number 2 for this panel?
There you go. So what talent you don't possess that you wish you did?
Probably salesmanship. I talk to our sales director, Jody Mills, about this all the time, and she
got
tells
that.
me I'm crazy, but
No, you got to do better than that.
No, but you got that.
You got
quality.
that nailed down.
Yeah.
it's one of those fears. I don't feel like I have it. So
Yeah, look at that smile. I mean, who would not want to buy something off of that guy?
Well, I mean, I think it's like you're so prepared that
Yeah.
you don't even have to sell because you know your product so well. Seriously, you totally got that. How about you, Jenny?
Well, I'm sitting at a table full of runners, am I?
I believe so.
Outside of the athleticism to run past Dairy Market and check it out every day.
What else you got over there, Smith?
So we're going to change this question up a little bit. So you're on I'm going to throw this to the young lady. You're on a deserted island, right? And you only have the chance to bring one book with you. What would that book be? One
When's
book.
the last time you read a book? I haven't read a book in a while.
It's it's been longer than it should have been.
Yeah? I read them on the Kindle.
Okay, so that counts. A Kindle.
Yeah.
So you got a
Yeah.
Kindle with
So
you.
Book on
got
tape
a
counts too.
Kindle.
Yeah, audio book.
Yeah.
I
And
count those.
whatever book
Yeah.
comes to your mind. If you have to have one book, what would that book be?
I'm hoping that someone's written some literature about escaping a deserted island, but
Good answer. Good
There
answer.
you go, Jenny.
Great answer.
Chris, what do you
Escape
got?
from Island for Dummies.
Yeah.
Treasure Island.
What was the
Swiss
Tom
Family
Hanks
Robinson.
movie with the volleyball?
Castaway.
Castaway.
Castaway,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a good
Castaway.
movie.
How about you, Chris?
My,
Got one
I mean,
book.
my favorite book is War and Peace by Tolstoy. It's
There
just
you
an
go.
unbelievable epic of a novel, and I've read it once, in full honesty, and I wish I could find the time to do it again, but it takes about a month. So,
Well, you got a little bit of time. You're on a deserted island. Jenny was the right answer. A book about survival, right? On an island. I'm not allowed to say channel surfing because nobody's wired anymore, right? Or connected anymore. You're on Netflix. I'm going to direct this to Chris. You're on Netflix or Roku or whatever. What movie you're buzzing through that you have to stop and watch no matter what else is going on. An absolute movie that once you start, you got to watch the whole thing.
man, I mean, Forrest Gump probably.
That's a great one. That's in my
Really?
top
Yeah, I
5.
can't change the channel when that's on.
Well, there you
Sure.
go.
I'm not. I'm a movie fan, but I don't spend a lot of time watching movies.
Yeah, you
If
got
that
kids.
one's
You
on,
don't
yeah.
have the time, right?
Jenny?
Oof, there are a lot of good ones out there. I have to go with a somewhat hot take and say The Princess Bride.
Nice. That's a great movie.
Really?
That's a great movie.
That's a little bit more lighthearted than some, but
In my younger days, I've been accused of looking like the what's the actor's name? Excuse me? There you go.
That was Judah Wickhauer.
yeah,
Good job, Judah.
I've been accused. That's when I had a little bit more hair on my head.
can see it.
About 25 years, 35 years younger, and all that stuff. So.
as you wish, Keith.
Mine, I don't. My wife and I watch very little television, but we are huge TMC fans. We love old movies. So last week I said Lawrence of Arabia, but my real go-to movie is Casablanca.
There you go.
I don't
Oh.
care if it's got.
Taking it
It's a
back.
flick.
Yeah, I totally love that movie. So one last question. I'm going to start with you, Chris, on this one. So I'm a little bit older, so bucket lists are real important to guys that are knocking on 60. But you got a bucket list. What one item on your bucket list that you haven't kind of gotten to yet that you really want to get to? Just one item.
Yeah, I try to check off bucket list items all the time. My wife and I love to travel, but a new one that I've added to the list since I had my daughter Alice is to take her on safari in Africa. I lived in Africa for a couple of years working in construction
Nice,
back
dude.
in the day, and I've had the pleasure of traveling to a lot of different areas, and I would love to bring Alice over there and just do a little walkabout.
So that is on my wife and I's bucket list. We've eaten through a bunch of them. We want to spend like a month in Africa, and that is kind of up on my bucket list.
Highly
Jenny?
recommend it.
I think we'll all be excited to check one off when we eat at Dairy Market when it opens. But
Well,
I'd say,
Come on.
I'd say,
always a saleswoman.
You know, Chris is on the right track here. I think I've also been really lucky to have traveled a lot and lived a lot of places. But one thing that has escaped me so far is Iceland. And
Really?
I'd really love
Good choice.
to visit Iceland and travel. Have you been there? It's at the top of my list these days. So
Well, there you go. So good. Well, that's the 5. That wasn't that painful, was it?
Easy
It
peasy.
was a lot of fun. All that stuff. Apparently, I need to get a little better with my questions.
No, I think the questions are good. I think we just need to pivot and evolve them slightly for 2019's purposes. That's what I think.
So,
we
are
need
you
to do.
trying to say I'm old? Is that
That's not what I'm trying to say. I
What's
think
your
we just
favorite
need to-
YouTube channel?
wanna
We
get
just
the
need to
Kindle in
freshen,
here.
yeah, we just need to freshen them up a little bit. Freshen them up. This show rock, guys, and you guys have made this easy peasy. We are an hour in. This is what we'll do with this program. We will archive it on ilovecville.com. We will turn it into an iTunes podcast by COB today. We're going to then take the content and syndicate it for 30 days across 17 Facebook pages, 17 Twitter accounts, a daily e-newsletter that goes out to 108,000 inboxes, and the third largest IG community is what?
I have no idea.
Instagram
I'll
community
Google. I'll
in
Google.
Charlottesville and Central Virginia. Chris Henry, you rock. Jenny
Thank
Stoner,
you.
you rock. Keith Smith, you always rock. You put this panel together.
I'm trying, bro. I'm trying to get better. I'm working on my millennial.
You did a great
speak.
job.
Thank you.
You did a great job.
So, just in close, to wrap up, everybody's please reach out to Jenny, get some information on the dairy market. Let's make Chris's job a little bit harder to weed through some contracts and LOIs, which is letters of intents. And I hope we help move that needle a little forward for you guys today. And I was super excited to sit across from you too.
Thanks,
Oh,
guys.
thank
I'll
you.
leave you with one
Thank you for
thought.
having us.
Okay.
DairyMarketCVille.com.
I'm on it. The website's dope, dude. I mean, it's really nice. DairyMarketCVille.com. Make sure you get that in the copy, Judah. Tell the team to get that in the copy, please. Get the URL. Binos Bustamante, welcome to the program. He's opening a restaurant in Belmont. I'm excited for that, Binos. We are back on the I Love CVille show in T-minus 1 hour and 15 minutes with some live music. We'll bring happy hour and the weekend a little sooner to you on the I Love CVille Network. We thank Roy Wheeler, Hairsmith and Company, First Heritage Mortgage, and Charlottesville Settlement Company for powering Real Talk, presented by the Yes Team Realtors, and this fantastically haired individual, and Yonna Smith, the Yes Team Realtors, your choice for buying and selling a home in Central Virginia. Have a good morning.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Good work. Jenny, you crushed it. Good work.
likewise, thanks for having us.
Thank you. Thank you. One more thing. We got to take a hero photo.